At Easter dinner my parents yelled, "You're the reason this family is broken," so I nodded and walked out forever. Please show some love by subscribing, and share your location in the comments. I love seeing where our family is watching from. The ham was still warm when my mother's voice cut through the Easter dinner chatter like a knife through bone. "You're the reason this family is broken, Marcus." 23 years of swallowing their venom, and that sentence finally made something inside me snap. I looked at her, then at my father nodding beside her, his face twisted in agreement. My younger sister Keisha dropped her fork. The clink echoed louder than it should have. I stood up slowly, chair scraping against their pristine hardwood floors, the floors I'd helped pay for when Dad borrowed $5,000 from my college fund 3 years ago. "You're right," I said, voice steady. My mother's eyes widened. She'd expected me to beg, to apologize, to crumble like I always did. Instead, I grabbed my jacket from the coat rack, each movement deliberate. "I'm the reason? Then you won't mind if I remove the problem." My father stood, his 6-foot frame meant to intimidate. "Sit down, boy." But I wasn't a boy anymore. I was 23, with my own apartment, my own job at Henderson Tech, my own life they'd been bleeding dry. No. That single word held 2 decades of suppressed rage. Keisha was crying now, mascara running. Aunt Brenda sat frozen, ham suspended on her fork. My cousin Jordan stared at his plate. They all knew this had been coming. My mother's lip trembled. "After everything we've done for you." I actually laughed, sharp, bitter. "Everything you've done? You mean like blaming me for Julian's death?" The room went silent. Dead silent. I'd finally said his name. My twin brother, dead at 17 in a car crash 6 years ago. The brother whose death they'd somehow made my fault. Julian wasn't just my twin, he was their golden child, their pride, their future doctor. I was Dylan, named after our grandfather, but always second. Always less. "Don't you dare bring your brother into this," my father hissed, his hand gripping the table edge until his knuckles turned ash white. But I was done being silent. "Why not? You bring him into everything else. Every conversation, every holiday, every damn birthday." The memory hit me hard, his 17th birthday party, 3 months before the accident. Julian blowing out candles while Mom whispered to Aunt Brenda, "Thank God at least one of them is going somewhere." I was standing right there. Keisha touched my arm. "Marcus, please." She was only 19, still living at home, still trapped in this toxic web. I tried to get her out twice, offered her my couch. They'd convinced her I was trying to steal her away, turn her against family. "It was 6 years ago," I continued, my voice cracking despite my best efforts. 6 years, and you still look at me like I killed him myself." My mother stood abruptly. "You were supposed to drive him that night." There it was. The accusation that had poisoned every interaction since. I had the flu. I shot back. I was vomiting every hour. The doctor said I was contagious. But yeah, Mom, I should have driven anyway, right? Should have gotten us both killed. Jordan finally looked up. "Mrs. Patterson, that's not. Stay out of this, Jordan," my father snapped. Jordan was my age, practically grew up in this house. Even he couldn't escape their wrath. "You know what the police report said?" I pulled out my phone, hands shaking. I'd carried this document for 2 years, waiting for the courage to use it. Should I read it? Right here, right now. My mother's face went pale. My father stepped forward. "Put that away." But I was already opening the file. Marcus Patterson Jr., age 17, died instantly when his vehicle was struck by a drunk driver who ran a red light at the intersection of Morrison and 5th. My voice grew stronger with each word. The other driver, Benjamin Walsh, was arrested at the scene with a blood alcohol level of 0.19, nearly twice the legal limit. Aunt Brenda gasped. "You never told us that part." "Because they didn't want you to know," I said, looking at my mother. "Because if you knew it was random, senseless, completely unavoidable, then they couldn't blame me. And they needed someone to blame." The truth hung in the air like smoke. Keisha was sobbing openly now. Is that true? She asked our parents. Did you know? My mother's silence was answer enough. My father tried a different tactic. We've been grieving for 6 years. I interrupted. You've been grieving by destroying your surviving son? By making me pay for existing while he doesn't? I thought about last Thanksgiving, when Mom set a place for Julian at the table but forgot mine. I'd driven 3 hours, stood in their doorway with wine and flowers, and she'd looked genuinely surprised I'd come. There's no room, she'd said simply. I'd eaten Thanksgiving dinner at a Denny's off I-85. Let's talk about grieving, I said, pulling up my banking app. My hands were steadier now, fueled by righteous anger. Let's talk about the $15,000 I've loaned you since Julian died. My father's jaw tightened. We're family. Family helps each other. Family. I laughed, the sound hollow. You charged Keisha rent when she turned 18, but I'm supposed to just hand over money. Jordan's head snapped up. They charge you rent? He asked Keisha. She nodded miserably. $400 a month. For your childhood bedroom. Aunt Brenda's voice rose. Claudia, what the hell? My mother found her voice. She's an adult. Adults pay their way. But I shouldn't ask for my money back. I challenged. Let me break it down. $5,000 for Dad's car troubles that turned into a vacation to Miami. $3,000 for emergency house repairs right before you renovated the kitchen. $2,000 for Mom's medical bills when she got that nose job. The room went silent again. Aunt Brenda stood up. Claudia, you told me insurance covered that. It's none of your business, Brenda, my mother snapped. But I wasn't done. Another $4,000 in various emergencies over the past 2 years. And last month you asked for $1,000 to help Keisha with tuition. I looked at my sister. Did you get that money, Kuish? Her silence was crushing. They told me you said no, she whispered. That you said I should get a job. The betrayal in her eyes wasn't directed at me anymore. You want to know the worst part? I was on a roll now, years of silence breaking like a dam. Julian would have hated what you've become. My mother slapped me. The crack echoed through the dining room. My cheek stung, but I didn't move. Didn't flinch. Just stared at her while she pulled her hand back, shocked at herself. Don't you ever, she started. He told me, I interrupted quietly. 3 days before he died. We were in our room, late at night, and he said I can't breathe in this house, Marcus. The expectations are suffocating me. My father's expression flickered. Something like recognition. He wanted to go to art school, not medical school. He was going to tell you that weekend. I could see Julian sitting on his bed, sketching in that worn notebook he hid under his mattress. His hands moving across the page, creating worlds our parents couldn't understand. You're lying, my mother said, but her voice wavered. Am I? Go look in the attic. The box labeled Julian Winter Clothes. Inside, there's a notebook full of sketches and a half-written letter to you both, explaining why he wanted to defer college. Jordan stood up suddenly. I remember that. He showed me some drawings at church. They were incredible. My father sat down heavily. For the first time, he looked old. Keisha was staring at our parents like she'd never seen them before. You pressured him, she said slowly. That's why he was driving to Atlanta that night, wasn't it? To visit Savannah College of Art and Design. He asked me to go with him, I admitted, the guilt I'd carried finally finding voice. He was scared to tell you alone. We were going to tour the campus, and then he was going to call you from the car and break the news. The memory was crystal clear, Julian tossing me crackers and ginger ale, disappointed but understanding when I couldn't stop throwing up. I'll go alone, he'd said. But you owe me, bro. Next adventure, you're driving. There was no next adventure. So I gave him my GPS because his phone was acting up, I continued. I made him promise to text when he got there. And I waited. And waited. I could still feel it, that growing dread as hours passed. The knock on the door at 10:30 p.m. The police officers with their rehearsed sympathy. My mother's scream that seemed to go on forever. I was in bed when they told us, I said. Fever of 102, delirious, and suddenly I was an only child. My father's voice was barely a whisper. We never knew about art school. Because you never listened. I shouted. You mapped out his entire life before he could tie his shoes. Pre-med, Johns Hopkins, cardiology specialization. He was 17 and you had his next 15 years planned. Aunt Brenda was crying now too. Robert, Claudia, this is what grief does when you don't deal with it, I finished. You made me the villain because you couldn't face that Julian died trying to escape the life you built for him. The silence that followed was different. Heavier. My mother collapsed into her chair. They made me choose, Keisha said suddenly, her voice small. Everyone turned to her. She was staring at her plate, but her hands were clenched into fists. Last year, when you invited me to move in with you, Marcus. They sat me down and said I had to choose. You or them. My stomach dropped. Cooish. They said you were trying to destroy the family. That you were jealous of Julian and taking it out on everyone. She finally looked up, tears streaming. They said if I moved in with you, I was dead to them. Like you are. My mother reached for her. Honey, we were protecting you. From what? Keisha jerked away. From my own brother. The one who helped me with homework every night. Who taught me to drive when Dad was too busy. Who paid for my prom dress because you said there wasn't money. She stood up, and I saw strength in her I'd never noticed before. You know what else Marcus does? He calls me every Sunday. Every single Sunday for 2 years, even though half the time I'm short with him because I'm scared you'll hear and get mad. Jordan cleared his throat. This is messed up. Like, seriously messed up. My father pointed at him. Jordan, this is family business. Family. Jordan laughed, but it wasn't humorous. Uncle Rob, you made Marcus pay for your mistakes, then convinced his sister he was the problem. That's not family. That's abuse. The word hung there. Abuse. My mother recoiled like she'd been struck. How dare you? We raised him, fed him, clothed him, and made him wish he'd died instead of his brother, Jordan finished quietly. The words hit like a physical blow. My mother's face crumpled. But I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no guilt, just exhaustion. That's not fair, my father said, but even he sounded uncertain now. Isn't it? I pulled out my phone again, opened my notes app. March 15th, Mom told me I was a constant reminder of what we lost. June 2nd, Dad said I'd never amount to half the man Julian would have been. September 23rd, my birthday, by the way, nobody called. I scrolled further. Christmas, I wasn't invited. New Year's, same thing. Valentine's Day, Mom called asking for money while I was on a date. Easter. I gestured around the table. Easter, I'm the reason this family is broken. Aunt Brenda stood up. Claudia, Robert, I love you both, but this is wrong. This has been wrong for years, and we all let it happen. She looked at me. Marcus, I'm sorry. I should have said something sooner. We all should have, Jordan added. Keisha moved closer to me. I'm done choosing, she said firmly. I choose Marcus. I choose not being scared in my own house. I choose not paying rent for a bedroom I've had since I was 6. My mother finally broke. You can't turn my children against me. You did that yourself, I said simply. The fight drained out of me. I wasn't angry anymore, just done. I'm leaving. For real this time. No more calls, no more money, no more trying to earn love I'm never going to get. I headed for the door. Behind me, chaos erupted. My mother crying, my father yelling, Aunt Brenda arguing back. My hand was on the doorknob when my father's voice cut through the noise. You walk out that door, you're not my son anymore. I turned slowly. He stood there, all righteous indignation and wounded pride, like he was the victim. Like he hadn't spent 6 years systematically destroying me. I stopped being your son the day you needed someone to blame more than you needed me, I replied. My mother rushed forward. Marcus, please. We can fix this. Family therapy, we'll talk. I actually laughed. We're past talking, Mom. Way past. You know what my therapist asked me 3 weeks ago? She asked why I kept trying to earn love from people who made it clear I'd never deserve it. Keisha grabbed her purse. I'm coming with you. Keisha Nicole Patterson, you sit down right now, my father roared. But she didn't. She walked right past them, past the elaborate Easter spread that cost more than my monthly grocery bill, past the family photos where my face had been gradually edited out over the years. Literally, I'd noticed them digitally removing me and expanding Julian's image. You're making a mistake, my mother said desperately. Both of you. No, I replied. The mistake was believing family meant something it clearly doesn't. Blood doesn't make you family. Love does. Respect does. And you've shown me neither. Jordan stood too. Uncle Rob, Aunt Claudia, I hope you figure yourselves out. But don't expect me around until you do. He followed us toward the door. My father tried one last time. Everything we did was because we loved you. You want to talk about love? I stopped in the doorway, sunlight streaming behind me, silhouetting me against the afternoon. Let me tell you about love, Dad. Love doesn't blame. Love doesn't manipulate. Love doesn't steal. I took a breath. Julian left me something. In his will, yeah, he had a will, did you know that? 17 years old with a will because he knew something was wrong with his heart. He had an undiagnosed condition. The autopsy found it. My mother's face went white. What? Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, I said clearly. The crash didn't kill him. His heart stopped, and then he crashed. The medical examiner told the police. Who told you? You knew. The silence was deafening. You knew it wasn't the drunk driver's fault primarily. You knew his heart gave out. And you blamed me anyway because you needed someone to punish for not catching it, for not forcing him to doctors, for not somehow preventing the unpreventable. Aunt Brenda sank into a chair. Jesus Christ, Claudia. It's not, we didn't, my mother stammered. But my father's face told me everything. He'd known and blamed me anyway. Julian left me his sketchbooks, I continued. All 37 of them. His portfolio for SCAD. His dreams. I pulled out my wallet, showed them the small sketch he'd done of us together, laughing. He left me a letter too. Want to know what it said? Nobody answered. If something happens to me, take care of yourself first. Don't let them guilt you. Don't let them make you small. Live enough for both of us. My voice broke. So that's what I'm doing. I'm living. Without you. There's more, I said, because why stop now? Why leave anything unsaid? Julian had a savings account. $8,000 from birthday gifts, summer jobs, everything he'd ever earned. You know what he did with it. My father's jaw clenched. He knew what was coming. He left it to me. With a note that said for Marcus's Freedom Fund. Get out when you can. I pulled out the actual letter, yellowed but preserved. He knew. 6 years before he died, my twin brother knew I'd need an escape plan from my own parents. Keisha gasped. That's how you afforded the apartment deposit. And the car repairs, and the certification courses that got me promoted at Henderson Tech. I looked at my parents. Your golden child's last act was protecting me from you. Let that sink in. My mother lunged for the letter, but I stepped back. This isn't yours. It was never yours. Just like Julian's life wasn't yours to plan, and mine isn't yours to ruin. Jordan pulled out his phone. I'm recording this, by the way. Started when things got intense. Uncle Rob, Aunt Claudia, you'll want to think real hard before making threats or getting physical. Smart kid. Always was. My father's face turned red. You're recording private family, nothing private about abuse, Jordan cut him off. And yeah, I said it again. Abuse. Financial exploitation, emotional manipulation, scapegoating. I took psychology last semester. This is textbook. Aunt Brenda stood up. I'm ashamed I didn't see it sooner. Robert, Claudia, you need help. Professional help. This isn't grief anymore. This is cruelty. My mother crumpled. We lost our son. And I lost my brother. My voice cracked, raw emotion finally breaking through. I lost my twin, my best friend, the person who knew me better than anyone. I lost him too. Tears were streaming down my face now, 6 years of unshed grief finally finding release. But instead of grieving together, you decided I wasn't worth keeping. You threw away one son while mourning the other. Keisha wrapped her arm around me. She was crying too. I lost a brother I barely got to know, she said. Because you were so busy making Julian a saint and Marcus a scapegoat that neither of them could be real people to me. My father opened his mouth, closed it. For once, he had no retort. You want to know the real reason this family is broken? I asked, voice steady despite the tears. It's not me. It's because you couldn't handle grief like adults. You needed a villain more than you needed a son. You chose blame over healing, anger over love. I wiped my face. So yeah, I'm walking out. But I'm not the one leaving. You pushed me out years ago. I'm just finally accepting it. My mother reached out one more time. Marcus, please, Mrs. Patterson, I said deliberately, formally. Tell yourself whatever you need to sleep at night. But stay out of my life. Both of you. I looked at Keisha. You're always welcome at my place. Rent-free, because that's what family does. To Jordan and Aunt Brenda, thank you for seeing it. For saying something. And then I walked out. The spring air hit my face, cool and clean. Behind me, I heard my mother's sobs, my father's angry shouts. But I didn't turn back. 3 months later, I'm sitting in my apartment, our apartment now, since Keisha officially moved in. She's at community college, working part-time at a bookstore, discovering who she is without their shadow hanging over her. The apartment is small but ours. Really ours. No tension, no walking on eggshells, no wondering what we did wrong today. Jordan comes by for game nights. Aunt Brenda calls every week to check in. My mother tried calling 47 times in the first month. Then the calls stopped. My father sent one text, "You've destroyed this family." I blocked the number. My therapist says I'm making remarkable progress. The guilt is lessening. The nightmares about Julian are fewer. I'm learning that surviving doesn't mean I'm taking something away from him. It means I'm honoring the freedom he wanted for me. Last week, I got promoted to senior developer at Henderson Tech. The salary bump means Keisha and I can move to a bigger place. Maybe get a dog. She wants to name it Marcus, not after our brother, she says, but after the brother who saved her. I found Julian's sketchbooks last night, flipping through his dreams. There's a self-portrait near the end, and he drew himself with wings, breaking free. He knew he needed escape too. We both did. I'm not bitter anymore. I'm free. Free from proving myself to people who'd never see me. Free from carrying blame that was never mine. Free from being crushed under the weight of their grief. Sometimes freedom looks like walking away. Sometimes it looks like saying no more. Sometimes it looks like acknowledging that the people who share your blood can't always share your life. I'm Marcus Patterson Sr., named after my grandfather who, according to Aunt Brenda, would have been proud of me standing up for myself. I'm 23. I'm healing. I'm enough. And if my parents never see that, that's their loss, not mine. The family isn't broken because I left. It was already broken. I just stopped trying to fix it with my own pieces. Hit subscribe if you believe family should build you up, not tear you down. Only toxic people who side with my parents won't subscribe. Comment I stand with Marcus if you know setting boundaries isn't betrayal. And if you can't stand parents like Robert and Claudia Patterson who destroy their children to avoid dealing with their own pain, comment everyone deserves to be loved, not blamed. Because, honestly, only manipulators and emotional abusers would defend what they did.